Welcome back. I'm so glad you've joined me again. In my last podcast, I was so relieved that I made it through the reading of the Women of Unvalor without messing it up, that in my head I kept thinking, stop the recording before you ruin it. And that's why it ended so abruptly. I'm sorry. Maybe there's still a little perfectionism in me that I need to work out in this new season. So, for those of you who know me from conferences or online teachings, you probably know that I've never been the most eloquent finisher. When I've said what I need to say, I tend to just stop. I've always admired those who land their words beautifully, but for me, the urgency has always been to get the message out. Still, as I step into the more mature age of 40, maybe this is something I can learn to do better, to finish with grace. I also want to take the time to thank everyone for the positive feedback. It's been such an encouragement, and I praise the Father that these short podcasts can bring you something meaningful and edifying. Today, I want to talk about give up or get up. Over the past 40 years, I've had to do both numerous times. Sometimes I had to give up on relationships, dreams, jobs, habits. Sometimes giving up was the best thing I could do, like letting go of sin, toxic situations, or seasons that had clearly passed. It takes wisdom to recognize when it's time to move on. Other times, I had to get up. Life has bowled me over through trauma, abuse, disappointments, and very low places emotionally, relationally, financially, and spiritually. I really know what David meant when he said it felt like his soul was in the depths of Sheol. And in those seasons, the hardest but most necessary thing I had to do was to decide to get back up again. Getting up is never easy. Sometimes it's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. No one can take that step for you. You put on your big old pants and you do it, one step at a time until you finally crawl out of that hole. But some people do neither. They don't give up on what they should have released long ago, and they don't get up from that places that broke them. They stay stuck. And that, I believe, is the saddest thing, because if you look back a year from now and see no growth, no change, it means you've traded God's invitation to grow for the comfort of staying the same. The key is discerning when to give up and when to get up. And the only one that can guide us wisely is God's Spirit. Our emotions deceive us, well meant advice can mislead us, and confusion can keep us paralyzed. But God's Spirit always leads with peace, even when the decision is hard. The enemy, on the other hand, pushes, rushes, condemns, and guilt trips. I've learned that when I feel pressured, it's usually not God. So I've practiced waiting, doing nothing until His Spirit speaks. And I've grown in learning to recognize His peace, His confirmation that I'm moving in His will and His time. It reminds me of Israel in the wilderness. For 40 years, they were trained to give up or get up. If the clouds stayed, they camped. If it lifted, whether after one day or a year, they packed up and moved. Their will, emotions, desire, and intellect didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was God's leading. That's what I want for my life. To be so in tune with God's Spirit that if He says rest and stay, I can settle and wait. But if He says rise and go, I'll get up and move in obedience. Ecclesiastes 3 says, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. May God give you the wisdom to rightly discern the season you are in and the courage to walk it out with His peace and guidance.